Hey traders, it's Sean Fortune here with this week's weekly Forex forecast for the 30th of July to the 3rd of August 2018. As always, we're going to start with the US dollar index and oil before running through a number of markets, looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. And we're also going to be highlighting some of the targets that we're going to be looking for this week and also in future weeks. Now, again, just a quick reminder that the name of the channel will be changing to Top Forex Targets at the start of next month. And so you may not be able to find the channel under the current name. You'll have to search for Top Forex Targets instead. So with that, guys, let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, starting with the US dollar index. Now, last week we were looking for a move down into the 94.22 area of support, and you can see this is where we were looking for a potential rally in the dollar from this key area of support, and we did get that rally towards the end of the week, and we start the week with a nice strong move off the 94.22 area. So going into next week, very simply put, as we start the week above the 94.22, we're just going to be looking for a pullback, preferably somewhere into this area. It's unlikely, I think we're going to get another retest, but you never know. But a pullback anywhere into this area now, for those already not involved from last week, is going to provide another great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking for the top of the range up here in the target set from last week at the 95.47. Now, just bear in mind, guys, very similar to last week, the dollar index is still in a range. So although we are looking for potential advances in the dollar, because it's in a range and because it's not trending, it makes the bias a lot weaker. So we're going to be trading the currencies on their own merit, even though we are looking for advances within this range in the dollar index. Now, this is exactly the same as we said last week, and you could see last week we had the dollar going up against some currencies and declining against others. Exact reason why, again, this week we'll be looking to trade currencies on their own merit. Next, we have crude oil. Now, last week we started the week above the key area of broken resistance, turning support at 67.15. And as we start in the week above the 67.15, and again, we do so this week, suggesting the higher probability move is to the upside. And we were looking for advances from this area, and you can see we did actually start to advance to the upside last week, but all in all, oil did not really move very much last week. In fact, a number of the markets have been quite corrective over the last week or so, and this means that it's a little bit more tricky to make money, or there's less opportunities in the market. But the structure remains the same here. We do start the week above the 67.15. So very simply put, we're still looking for this continuation to the upside in oil. If we get a pullback and potentially another retest of the 67.15, this will provide a great chance for anybody not involved from over here to look once again for bullish formations and patterns. And we're looking up towards the target, next key area of resistance to the upside, target set from last week at the 72.15. So the first pair we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now, last week we were looking for a decline from the key area of broken support, turning resistance up here at the 1.17189. You can see we did actually get this decline last week. So we had a nice move from this level last week, and we are now looking for the target set from last week. So very simply put, as we start the week below the 1.17189, if we get a pullback into this area, possibly a retest, but anywhere in this area will be a great place to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns. We're going to be looking once again to initiate shorts down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target set, the 1.15184. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to, of course, be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside, although this may take longer than next week, at the 1.14422. Next, we have pound dollar. Now, last week we started the week down in this area, and we were looking for a move into the 1.3213 key area of broken support, turning resistance. And this was a great place. We were going to start to look for shorts in the pound dollar. And you can see we actually had this price action play out to the pip. I mean, this one worked out really nicely last week. So very simply put, going into this week, as we start the week once again below the 1.3213, it does indicate further declines of the higher probability in the pound dollar next week. So if we get a pullback anywhere into this area, possibly a retest, but anywhere into this area would be great to start to once again look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts once again down towards the target set from last week and next key area of support to the downside at the 1.2920. Next, we have the US dollar Japanese yen. Now, last week, the US dollar Japanese yen did decline slightly and started to correct and crisscross around the key area of broken resistance turning support at the 111.067. So very simply put, going into this week, we do start the week below here, but it's very, very difficult to say. It's not as clear as some of the other pairs. So what I would like to see in the US dollar Japanese yen, especially with potential dollar strength next week, if we can get a break above the 111.067 and also out of this small corrective structure here, this is when I will start to look for a move down and a retest of broken support turning resistance once again at the 111.067. And if we get this kind of price action, this is going to be a great place then to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. We're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and the target set at the 112.054. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside at the 113.086. Next, we have Aussie dollar. Now, you can see in the Aussie dollar, it's been very, very corrective. We're stuck in this range in the Aussie dollar, and we're just kind of bouncing around in this area. So we were looking last week for a pullback and a retest of 0.74770. We haven't got it. We came very close. So very simply put, we start the week still below the 0.74770. If we get a pullback and we get that retest of broken support turning resistance once again at the 0.74770, this is going to provide us an opportunity to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the target set and the next key area of support to the downside at the 0.73111. Next, we have the New Zealand dollar. Now, last week we were looking for a move into the key area of broken support turning resistance at the 0.68500. You can see this was another market which came to the pip here. We reversed at the 0.68500. This was another really nice market last week. And very simply put, as we start the week below key area of broken support turning resistance at the 0.68500, we are looking for further declines as the high probability move. If we get a pullback in this area, possibly a retest, but anywhere in this area now we've actually had the bounce, will be a fantastic place to start once again to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking first of all down to the next key area of support to the downside and target set at the 0.67110. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.65900. Just bear in mind that we might not achieve this target next week. It may be 2 weeks. Next, we have US dollar Swiss franc. Now, although we are looking for potential advances in the dollar index, we are still neutral over on the dollar index as we are in a range. And so we're trading the pairs on their own merit. And as we start the week below the 0.99627, if we get a pullback and possibly a retest or anywhere in this area is going to be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. We're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the target and next key area of support to the downside at the 0.98954. And if we get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.97909. Now, just remember, if we do get some slight advances in the dollar index, it doesn't mean that the dollar Swissy can't decline, because if we have the dollar, for example, which is 6 out of 10 strong, okay, and we have the Swiss franc next week maybe is an 8 out of 10 strong, you will see the dollar index advancing because it's stronger than it is weak, but you will see the dollar declining against the Swiss franc as it's not as strong as the Swiss franc. If, on the other hand, for example, say we end up taking a short here, it breaks up like this, yes, we can take a loss. Everybody takes losses in trading. It's part of trading. If we get a pullback, we can always reverse a potential currency pair like this anyway to the upside and start to once again look for broken resistant turning support and looking for those bullish formations and patterns. Next, we have the US dollar CAD. Now, last week, the US dollar CAD is a classic example of why we're trading these on their own merit. As we were looking for further advances in the dollar. And in fact, we did get that bounce from the key area of support in the dollar index. And yet, we were looking for a short in the US dollar CAD. And although we had that bounce from the key area of support in the dollar index, what happened last week in the dollar CAD? We had a nice pullback and we had a really nice move into the target set from last week, and we took out the target set from last week. So very simply put, we're trading the pairs on their own merit again this week. If we get a pullback to broken support looking to turn resistance at the 1.31134, this is going to once again be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns in the US dollar CAD. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key area of support to the downside and the target set at the 1.29250. And finally, we have gold. Now, gold is another market that didn't really do much last week. In fact, we're still in this kind of corrective phase here. So very little happened last week on gold. There wasn't much opportunity in gold last week. If we get a pullback this week as we start the week below broken support looking to turn resistance at the 1236.66. If we can get a pullback and a retest, this is going to be a great area to start to look for bearish formations and patterns in gold. And we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the key area of support to the downside and the target set, the 1215.41. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards target 2 at the 1205.12. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to all of you who do that on a regular basis and those who have subscribed to the channel so far. I want to wish you all a nice weekend. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you all have a fantastic week next week. The only thing left to say is take care and don't forget to trade safely.